Hey, welcome everyone. This is another episode of AA Illustrates. And this week we're going to be talking about a COVID-19 Botathon that is being run by Automation Anywhere. And I'm super excited to talk about this, super excited to introduce this concept. I am Micah Smith. I'm a developer evangelist here at Automation Anywhere. This week I'm joined by Mukund. Mukund, you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely, Micah. Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone. I'm Mukund Srigopal. I'm head of global developer marketing at Automation Anywhere. I've been at the company for 3 years running now, and held a number of different roles. And I'm really excited to be working with Micah to roll out this COVID-19 Botathon.
Awesome. So let's get started and let's talk about what we're going to get into today. So today we're going to look at the Automation Anywhere COVID-19 response in general. We'll talk about some of the things that the organization is doing as a response to COVID-19. We'll also jump into the COVID-19 Botathon overview. So we're going to look at the different themes that people are developing for. We're going to talk about the prizes and how people can get involved, whether you're a developer or not a developer. We want everyone to be involved in this. We'll also talk about the submission requirements, deadlines, and judging criteria, and also some helpful resources to get started. So we're going to have some office hours and things like that so that people can get the help they need as they're building these bots. And then we'll get into the actual specifics of getting started. So how do you register? How do you sign up? Possibly forming a team, some stuff like that. Sound good? Okay, so first off, as an organization, Automation Anywhere has been very committed to customers and the general public, I would say, in the COVID-19 pandemic response. There are many tools and solutions that are available to customers in navigating these unforeseen challenges. We're offering free trials of Automation Anywhere Enterprise A2019, and the Community Edition obviously is still free that you can use and develop bots on and continue to learn the platform. There's $500,000 in RPA scholarships that have been made available to fund the development of COVID-19 solutions. They've also made available a special Community Edition free bot pack. And that was the topic of last week's AA Illustrates. It was a great session talking about some of the free bots that you have available to you. Some of them are, great bots that you can build on top of and customize. Others are great to use to see how the code works and how everything can run together. And some can honestly just be used right out of box as they are. Today, we're going to focus on something that's actually starting today, which is the COVID-19 Botathon.
Micah, I just wanted to add to emphasize the first thing that you mentioned that's on the first bullet there, which is a lot of the work that we've been doing with our customers and our partners to really build, purpose-built solutions to address their challenges around, the pain points caused by COVID-19. And the COVID-19 Botathon is really a continuation in that direction around helping. We're going from directly working with customers and partners to really thinking. We had this this light bulb moment where we said, what if we went out and crowdsource solutions from developers like yourselves in a way that's rewarding both to you, the developers, as well as people within organizations that could benefit from these solutions, as well as people that could actually offer ideas that developers can go and build. So it's really sort of a communal effort to address these challenges caused by COVID-19.
Absolutely. Cool. So let's get into the COVID-19 Botathon specifics here. And we'll just do a quick overview of some of the topics, and then we'll jump into the actual registration and we'll go from there.
All right, awesome. So what we're going to do here for this section is we're actually going to walk you through the Hackathon microsite. We want you to get a feel for what the experience of using the Hackathon site is like, and we want to address some of the common questions that you might have as a participant around how to do various different things. I think that really the first thing that we want to reiterate is that the reason we embarked on this project is to really bring people that can build technology solutions together with people that need those solutions in a really sort of a community-oriented way. And so that's really the sort of the core focus of this hackathon. We have defined 5 specific suggested themes. And I say suggested because we'd love for you to build solutions around these themes, but you're not confined to these themes. You can build any solution that you think would be beneficial to businesses and societies at large. But then these are some of the most commonly occurring themes that come up when we speak to our customers. The first is life sciences and healthcare. There again, we've given you some of the examples, but you're by no means restricted to those examples. But there's a number of use cases within each of these verticals, right? So within life sciences and healthcare, how do you help organizations better handle their inventory, or how do you help organizations better manage the admissions and discharge process within a hospital, and so on, right? Some of the much needed solutions that technologists like you can help build. Other themes are, governance and administration, banking and finance, travel and logistics, and last but not the least is employee care and productivity. Right? In these unprecedented times when we're all working from home. Right? How do we make sure that people are physically and mentally healthy and safe and productive, and not hindered by this unique situation that we're presented with?
Absolutely.
So that's definitely a key theme there.
Yeah. I think two things stand out to me there. One, I've heard a lot of developers say that they're wanting to help out, but they don't know what to build, right? And so I think you've touched on that we're looking for people who want to submit ideas as well as people who want to develop that kind of stuff. The other thing, specifically on that last theme, the employee care and productivity, I think we're going to see a lot of opportunities related to people getting back to work or getting back to somewhat normal, right? How do we make sure that as you're going back to work, things are safe, or we're tracking to make sure that if people get sick, we know how to notify others and things like that. So I think kind of the return to normal will be a big theme within the employee care and productivity.
Yeah, and it'll be a return to the new normal, right? Because the normal itself would be, sure. We expect that the new normal is going to be a hybrid of what exists right now and what used to exist. And so that's going to really change how people work together, work by themselves, and so on. So I think there's a lot of promising opportunities to build solutions around there. So from there on, moving to the timelines and the judging process. So what we're going to do is this hackathon will run all the way starting now through the 3rd of June. And again, if you want to go look at the dates, they're up here when you go to this site. May 6th through the 3rd of June. And what we'll do is we've divided the judging into 2 phases. In phase 1, we'll look at all of the submissions. We'll pay attention to every single submission. We'll evaluate them on 4 or 5 key criteria that we'll talk about shortly. Out of all of the submissions, we'll shortlist 5 that we'll invite to come and basically present. Not come, but to basically present online over a Zoom video meeting to the panel of judges. And these will be judges that are, that are experts in RPA and in product and technology in general, and as well as drawn from the business end of things, who will basically look at it cross-functionally, look at your presentations cross-functionally, and then from there on, we'll pick the top 3 teams. Will be determined, by the judges to be the winners. What we'll also do is we will pick out of all the idea submissions that come in, and we'll talk about ideas a little more, a little down the line. But the top 5 idea submissions will also be chosen, and each of those, those winners, the top 5 idea submissions, will essentially receive an award as well, and we'll talk about that a little more. Now, what are the incentives for you, the developers, as well as the business folks that could submit ideas in participating in the hackathon? Beyond the recognition that you get for actually helping businesses and communities better cope with the COVID-19 situation and the personal satisfaction that you get from doing so, there's also some cash incentives, right? Cash prizes. The very first prize for the best submission, for the best solution submission, would be $5,000 US, and that's regardless of where you are in the world. And this event, by the way, is open to everyone, everywhere in the world, barring a few, exceptions that are laid out in the terms and conditions in the rules tab, which we'll walk through in just a moment. The second prize is $3,000. The third prize is $2,000. And then for the top 5 promising ideas that I just mentioned a minute ago, will offer $500 each as a reward to say thank you for putting your ideas out there. One thing I want to call out there is that you don't want to submit ideas that are in any way confidential or proprietary to your organization. You want to put generic ideas out there that people will benefit from, but at the same time that don't violate any organizational legal restrictions.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I really like the promising ideas part, because I've heard a lot of people who, want to participate in stuff like this, but don't necessarily feel like they're confident enough in development to be able to submit something they think will win. So this is a great way for people who are just creative or thinking of lots of ideas that could help to be able to still participate and still win some money in that case. And then obviously you said this is $5,000 per team. So you can team up with people to do this kind of initiative, or you can run at it at your own if you feel like you can take it on.
Exactly. Yeah, and one last thing I'll mention around rewards is, even though this is not directly a reward to you, this is, again, can be very fulfilling for many of us, is for every team that submits a solution for this hackathon, we will contribute $25 up to the first 100 submissions to the COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund, which will, all of these contributions will essentially go to the World Health Organizations to help with their COVID-19 response initiatives. So that's one more incentive for you to build and submit a solution for this hackathon. All right, now let's move on. Let's talk about who's eligible. There are really no age restrictions that we're defining to participate in this hackathon. If you're a 8-year-old ultra smart developer has great development skills and exposure to Automation Anywhere, you're more than welcome to participate. You can Micah just mentioned this, but you can either participate individually or you can participate as a team. Team sizes are restricted to 4 at the most. And this is important because if you form teams that are more than 4, that may be a disqualifying criteria, because that creates an unlevel playing field with other teams. I do also want to walk you through the official rules of the hackathon, but we'll come back to that in just a moment. Let's take a moment to look at what you will be submitting. As you have until the 3rd of June to submit your solution. Micah, do you want to maybe walk our audiences through the submission package?
Yeah, sure. So you'll be submitting your code, which is obviously going to be something that's going to be publicly accessible, and you'll be doing that on a GitHub repository and sharing the URL to that. There'll also be a submission form. So you'll choose the theme that you've selected and the implementation and potential impact on the submission form. Again, this is your opportunity to really be creative and talk about what your bot is actually doing and the benefits that it provides. And then also a video where you'll be providing like a short 3-minute or less video demonstrating how your bot works. Again, you'll want to highlight there some of the things that your bot can benefit, as well as the functionality of your bot and what it's really doing. You wouldn't really want to walk through all the code in that one, but really just how your bot is really running. With multiple submissions, you can submit multiple times as a team, and that's fine. But you'd only be able to win a single prize. So keep that in mind as you're doing multiple submissions. And then also you do have the ability to resubmit or edit your submission until the submission deadline. So if you feel like you got some more time to sharpen up your video, or you've added some more functionality to your bot that you think will help push it over the edge, then absolutely make some modifications to that, and then you'll be able to resubmit. Again, as long as it's before that deadline.
Yeah, thanks, Micah. And one thing I'd add to that is if you have a large network of RPA developers, and if you have different groups of people with different ideas, you're also allowed to belong to multiple teams, and you can of course make multiple submissions as well. But I'd again reiterate that an individual can only win a single prize, so that's important.
Some of the judges look familiar.
Yeah, some of the judges, I've seen those names before, haven't I?
Yeah.
So Micah and I are part of the judging committee, and Kumar, who is the head of the developer ecosystem at Automation Anywhere, will also be one. But then we'll be adding a number of other judges who will be, both, engineering leaders as well as, business and product executives from the company in the coming weeks to the judging panel as momentum builds up. And so we're really going to have a rich panel of judges who will really look at your submissions from many different angles, from an engineering standpoint, from an operations standpoint, from a from a business viability and sort of the promising nature of your ideas, and that standpoint and so on. So think about all of that when you're putting together your submission. One other thing, Micah, that I wanted to highlight is that Micah, you spoke about the short video, right? And one thing I wanted to emphasize there is that this is one of the things where I see developers not doing it the right way, right? So you really want to open your video with talking about what you've built and why it matters, right? Before you go into the code that you built and all of that. And again, in a 3-minute video, you're not going to be able to walk through code, right? So what you want to do is talk about the idea, show us the product running, show us the product working, doing what it's meant to do. And then, you will be submitting the code as well. So we'll have a chance to look at the code. So you don't really need to go through anything line by line. So that's another thing I wanted to call out.
Yeah. What are some things you'll be specifically looking at upon judging?
Yeah, so that brings us to the section at the bottom here, which is the judging criteria. Really, I think the top judging criteria for us is the impact that the solution can bring to businesses or societies or communities at large, right? So how powerful, how impactful is the solution? How broadly applicable is it? The second criterion is comprehensiveness. So, well, great, you have a phenomenal idea. Now, how much of that have you actually built out? How many alternative flows, how many exceptional cases have you addressed as a part of that implementation? We give additional bonus points to solutions that use the Enterprise A2019 product as opposed to the Enterprise V11 product. Now, you are allowed to build on V11 as well, but Micah, maybe you want to spend a minute just talking about A2019 versus V11 and really why we encourage developers to build on A2019.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll be excited to see solutions either way, to be honest. I think built on Enterprise A2019, one, we're going to give everyone access to that. And we didn't really touch on that too much yet, but everyone will have access to Enterprise A2019 who wants to participate in this. So we'll be giving you that access. So if you want to create bots there and you want to, you need to be able to export and you need to be able to create packages and upload those, we'll make sure you have that access. So there's really no reason why you wouldn't use that. Now, if you're significantly more comfortable on version 11, I think we still want to make sure that we're accepting those kind of submissions. I think with A2019, it does allow you to kind of have better integration with some additional platforms and especially additional programming languages, like with the packages being able to be developed in Java. You really have the ability to extend Enterprise A2019 relatively quickly by creating these custom packages and actions. So I could see a lot of developers being drawn to that. But at the same time, if you're super comfortable with version 11 and you'd rather just do it there, we're happy to judge and review the code in either situation. So yeah, I'm glad that it's open for both, though.
Absolutely, and I'd also wanted to add there that one of the other benefits, especially for those who are relatively new to RPA and Automation Anywhere, with the use of A2019, is we really have a new workflow designer there, which makes it easier to model your workflow and really sort of assemble your solution. So that's something that might actually make life easier for you. And this especially applies to, say, folks who are citizen developers, right? So who don't have a strong development background, but who are just sort of analytical-minded people. The workflow designer in A2019 comes very handy.
Absolutely.
And so then just to continue down the list of criteria, I mentioned earlier we had 5 criteria. So the remaining 2 are resiliency, right? So how robust is the solution? Again, we do understand that you're not building out a product that's going to be deployed, for commercial use on day one, right? So there's one other thing, Micah, that I wanted to mention is that we will offer for the winners as well as for the really good submissions that come in. We want them to we want to help you both from a marketing standpoint and from a product standpoint to really help sort of build out your solution, fill out the gaps, fill out the reusability, resiliency issues, the security gaps, and really help you take it to businesses. And so, and we'd love to have you, and work with you to get them published on the bot store, which is Automation Anywhere's marketplace for ready to deploy and ready to consume automation. And so, but that said, as far as your submissions go, so we're not expecting a full sort of fully sort of GA type product, but we want to make sure that you are thinking about resilience, right? You're thinking about the most important facets of how to make your solution resilient and also reusable, right? If you, for example, if you're hard coding, username and passwords, that's you're
not going to win.
That's not a very you're not going to win, right?
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that you take those basic tenets of development into account in the way that you build your solution, that you really take a sort of a developer's mindset to this, and that's important.
Yeah, one thing
Anything
you mentioned about
thing
you mentioned about the bot store thing, I was gonna kind of harp on it. I think we talked about the benefits and what you can win and the prizes and stuff like that. But the other thing I think about here is that if you're a student or a developer who's trying to establish some expertise in this area, this is a great way to be able to demonstrate that expertise. And as you build a bot, even if you don't win, you move it to bot store, you have the ability to share the fact that you've done this thing on social and you've got a video that demonstrates what your bot's doing. You've got your contributions. I mean, this is good for people who are trying to express themselves as RPA experts. And this is a good thing to include on your resume, especially if you're a student or you're new to RPA and you want to kind of break into being an RPA developer. This is a great way to demonstrate that and to show to people that, like, look, I'm taking initiative on my own to participate in hackathons. I'm building stuff on my own, and it's actually good stuff. And here, come check it out, right? So as a developer, this is a great way to promote yourself, even if you win or you don't win, right? So I would definitely look at it that way.
Absolutely. And